This is Eric Montgomery. It's the 27th of August, 2007, and I'm here with Sergeant Ed Sarkisian. And it's my honor to interview you today and this evening. Sergeant Ed served in the Marine Corps and was actually part of the onboard ship detachment of the CB-10 USS Yorktown, which was the second version of the Yorktown after the first one was sunk at the Battle of Midway. And thank you, Ed, for granting me this chance to talk to you.
It's an honor for me to answer these questions, but I do that to my best of my ability. Of course, I enlisted in the Marine Corps in early 1940. I was turned down. Of course, I tried the Navy first. They turned me down because I didn't have a high school equivalency.
I see.
That's pretty hard to get in there. Coast Guard, all my buddies, the boys scouting, we were Sea Scouts. That time went by, and they all went in the Coast Guard. And they turned me down. That's the same reason they turned me down. Yeah, I was determined. I was sick of looking for a job, $7 a week, $11 a week on 6th Avenue.
Well, here in New Jersey or New York?
No, well, I worked in New York all these years.
Okay.
But instead of like going looking for a job, I go to the recruiting office, 90 Church Street. So doctors found me and he says, "I'm sorry, son, there's not much you can do. You're flat-footed. You got a paralysis in your left testicle, and
I'm sorry about that.
I went there 3 times. The doctor, same old doctor, God bless him, if he were alive today. Anyway, son, I'll get you in the Marine Corps. Don't worry about it. But what the doctors will do in Parris Island, I don't know.
I see.
So with that...
Well, this is 1940.
1940.
So this is before the war.
This is all before the war.
Yeah,
right?
so how old were you in 1940?
1940, 18.
You were 18 years old.
Right. So, he said, I'll tell you, give me over to Parris Island, but what the doctors down there will do, I don't know. So sure enough, just like I said, I got to Parris Island, and doctors wanted to know how I got in the Marine Corps. He said, well, you just due for a medical discharge. And I pleaded with them. I said, there's nothing for us youngsters outside but measly class dishwashing jobs and etc. So, well, one thing, you got to go to the hospital, get that
The testicles straight away.
Yeah. I said, any chance of waiting on that, you know? I was chipping.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I was chipping. So anyway, I didn't go to that sick bay again. You could smell the medicines and everything. That was a World War I hospital they had.
In 1940 still.
So I bypassed the hospital. Finished boot camp, and I took the test, qualification test, and they wanted me for communications because in sea scouting I knew some of Morse and whatever.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't like Morse code because the sailors had to analyze, was a beep or 2 beeps. So I said, sir, any chance of getting into the air group? They had 4 F2Fs down there.
I see. Hellcats, yeah?
No, long before the Hellcats.
Oh, I see.
Hellcats didn't come out till 1944. No, excuse me, 1942.
I see.
That time. So I told them I had 7 hours flight time, which I did. I used to work down at Little Ferry, where Tracy was clean the edges with cosmoline, taking the cosmoline on to it. So I did all right there for 7 hours.
Now, when you talk about the semaphores, were you conversant in the flags? Did you?
I wanted to get into flying if I could, even if to become a mechanic.
Right.
You know, that was in my blood. So that's how come my son is a pilot today. He's a captain at United Airlines for the last 20 years. He's worked for them. And
but did you, as part of the Sea Scouts, were you skilled in the art of the semaphore flag?
oh yeah, I knew semaphore quite
Well,
well.
I need to come over to see you because I want to learn.
You were A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I.
Because I actually, let me just give you a little sidelight. 2 weeks ago, I was doing a World War II reenactment as a member of the 6th Naval Beach Battalion.
You signalman, huh?
As a signalman. And so I had the flags, and I came off on the first wave of the reenactors off the landing craft. Of course, slugged through the water, and got onto the beach with the Beachmaster. And since my uncle was part of the 6th Naval Beach Battalion, I wanted to honor him by doing a job.
You know what's so Grace? Grace, you lost an uncle in Normandy.
Yes. He was killed about 8:45 on D-Day morning.
The first thing,
On the first, he was in the second wave that came ashore. So he lived about an hour and 10 minutes before he was killed on the beach. In fact, the strange thing about him, he was 36 years old, the oldest guy in his platoon, and the only guy killed in his platoon. And he had actually predicted his own death and told the commanding officer, I don't think I'm coming back to see my little woman. And when he referred to his girlfriend, who lived back in Pittsburgh, that I don't think I'll ever see her again. I don't have a good feeling about this. Joe is his commanding officer's name. And said that, he says, oh no, what are you talking about? You'll be fine. And of course, an hour and 10 minutes after being on the beach, he was dead. And, I went to their reunion this year and met many of the men who knew my great uncle, and they told me, that they saw him on the beach, of course dead, and of course there was nothing they could do in the manner in which he was killed. And the real sad thing about all of this, not only his own death, but the Graves Registration Unit did not pick him up for 2 days. So he is marked KIA, or killed in action, on June the 8th, not June the 6th. So with the testimony from the fellows that I met, along with his commanding officer, I am petitioning the Navy to have his date of death changed. So they change his stone in Normandy and also back in his hometown. So this is a big undertaking, and ever since I met my friends, and I call all these guys my friends, including hopefully you too, Ed. That
thank you. It's a compliment.
well, it would be my honor to be your friend. But these fellows, I want to do something for them. So when we do this D-Day reenactment every year, and so from now on, instead of doing infantry, I am going to do Navy and Navy Beach Battalion in honor of the guys in the 6th Naval Beach Battalion, of which my uncle was part of. So therein lies the semaphore flags, because most of the information that I've received about the 6th Naval Beach Battalion has been from one fellow. And although I met all of them, he's been pretty much the catalyst behind me getting all this information, and he was a signalman. So I actually acquired all the same equipment that he left the ship with. And I need somebody to teach me how to operate these things.
Well, I better go back to the Boy Scout manual.
Yeah, I know. But it's going to come back to you, I know it. Because here you're already doing the gyrations, and I said, well, that's the gyrations I want to learn.
You know what held my interest about semaphore? I thought I got a chart. When I was in the Sea Scouts, the ship was down in Edgewater, the Sea Scout ship, and there was a big hill there. They got rid of sea. No, it's all built up now. But anyway, I'd see a guy walking down a barge. We had a flat barge and a barge with a roof on it for a meeting place. I said, WHO, who's down there?
Oh, is that what he said?
Oh, yeah. So, so anyway, that's how we got messages through.
I see. Now, did you have the blinker light too, or
No, just
the flags?
Just the flags.
Okay.
And Morse code.
Well, I guess that would be the blinker light then, because the Morse code would be the flash, hold the trigger down.
No, I was fortunate to have that, but we were talking about the qualifications of a signalman or whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I didn't want that, so I asked the major a chance of getting into an air group. But he says, where's your log?
Oh, your flight log.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, where is it? I want to see it. I says, it's my mother has it, you know. So I said, 7 years, you know. So he said, what else do you want to do? I says, well, I play the trumpet. John, good. She says, I'll sit you down with the Marine Band. And I was tickled when I heard that. But they really wanted me as a bugler.
Mm-hmm.
First he said, there's too many trumpet players, there's too much of this, too much of that. How about if I make you a bugler? Suits me fine. I wasn't going to argue.
So you had to get up earlier than everybody else, though.
I did, but I enjoyed it. I had the best chow, you know, because I go to the mess hall to eat first.
Yeah.
And the guys used to give me 2 containers of milk, as many poached eggs as I wanted. And, you know, I lived it up.
Life was good.
I went from 160 some odd pounds in the Marines and then reached 209 pounds.
Wow.
But meantime, I'd go to the gym every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'd work out and I'd develop some biceps and so on. Help me get through the Marine Corps, the wise guys.
I see. Now, what's a bugler to do when he's not bugling? When he's not bugling?
No. He's not bugling. Oh, there's plenty of things to do. Everybody had their department. I was the captain of the head for a while. You had so many toilets to clean up every day. And that's about it.
Okay.
And I was off doing as I said, I'd work out. And Parris Island had its own bar, you know, and we'd go there and the bar was open like from 7 to 9. Was it 10 cents a glass of beer? Beer. And hamburgers were 10 cents a piece.
Mm-hmm.
So with that $21 we got a month, that
a lot of beer and a lot of hamburgers.
So
I think I might join.
So anyway, from there I went to Cuba for 2 to 3 weeks on 1st Marine Division. They were forming the 1st Marine Division. Go to Cuba. We trained for 3 weeks for landing barges and this and that. And I came back home, beat red. Not home. I mean, back to Parris Island.
Mm-hmm.
So as time went by, every day we'd have the passing review, and every Thursday, excuse me. And when the boots graduated, we'd have the band play, and that's it. And then when we had to go to Charleston Navy Yard twice. President Roosevelt was coming in on the Tuscaloosa, and sure enough, I saw him. He was in a wheelchair. And
did you know at the time that he was wheelchair bound before you saw him?
No, I don't think so.
Was that a surprise to you, or what?
Well, it was an eventful thing. Too bad the president is, because he was, would be a cripple, not say, but I didn't shake hands with him. A bunch of other guys, but I didn't want to be nuisance. So following that, I went home back after we got an open truck, incidentally, with our instruments and all, and traveled was 70 miles from Parris Island to Charleston, about 70 miles, yeah.
In
and then open trucks.
So by the time you guys got there, you were just filthy dirty, I bet.
Yeah, but we still had the pep, you know.
Cleaned up good, huh?
Right.
I see.
And,
now, did you play, when you went there, did you play trumpet or did you play bugle?
The bugle. No, we had the Marine Band and the Marine Drum Corps.
Okay.
Because we combined the music, you know. So we were always in the back of the band, you know, and we'd play pieces of, how should I say, would combine, would sound like, you know, because we only had one valve on the bugles.
Mm-hmm.
So we play an octave or something like that,
and then they would come in and
the others come in. The trumpet players would come in.
Now you asked me about my friend here that I showed you his picture, Bud Hanson, and Bud Hanson was in the Marine Corps, and he was part of the bagpipe band. When he went to the European theater, they actually had a bagpipe corps, a bagpipe Marine bagpipe band in England.
I didn't know that. So time went by. I remember I got the flu or something. I don't know what it was. Maybe too many mosquito bites. But there was so many fleas down Parris Island. But what I didn't mention earlier was that we ran around a field. I mean, we did more than that, but before we quit for the day, we'd run around circles in that 3-mile area at Highport and be sweating like the devil. And then they make us stand at attention. That's a test they have. And the swarms of sand fleas will be swarming all over, up your nostrils, in your ear, everything, I'm telling you. So all I had to, I went like that. And that was over. The drill instructor said, you fall out after, go have your chow. You're going to do a little work tonight. And what they wanted to do, we lived in tents at the time. And the tents were on this angle, say. And the water would run down from one tent, not to the tent, but
to the corner.
They want us to make sewers 4 foot square, 4 foot deep, and coral. Parris Island is all coral. And when you're sick of what I call pickaxe, it's just like pouring loose busted concrete, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So that was about 11 o'clock at night. And the sergeant said, all right, you go down there and you lowered your wheelbarrows. And, oh yeah, they came over and inspect the holes. Sure enough, 4 by 4, 4 foot deep. So I want you to fill these holes with crushed stone. So when the water would go in, it'd settle down like a sewer. So I took about 3 wheelbarrows full of stone to fill that thing up.
Mm-hmm.
3, and they were big wheelbarrows. So that was that.
So were they happy with your 4 by 4 by 4?
The other thing is, we're marching down just before I left boot camp. Finished that is, we went on a 14-mile hike, and getting back, naturally we were a little tired, and my muzzle of my rifle was slightly to the right. It's got to be straight up, you know. So Sergeant McClellan, he got killed in Guadalcanal later. I said, serves him right. He took his hand, smacked the muzzle, and knocked me out. My ear. I fell down on both knees and I didn't dare look back. I got up again. And that was the end of that. I couldn't go to the sick bay in those days unless there was a good reason, and the platoon sergeant was left out of it. You know, you'd have to report the sergeant and so on. So that left bad memories in my mind. Not digging a hole, but.
But how did you know that the sergeant got killed at Guadalcanal? How did you know?
We used to get the Leatherneck magazine.
Oh, so they listed all the guys.
Oh, list all the casualties.
I see.
Guadalcanal in the Leatherneck magazine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I don't. It's one of the magazines I don't even have a copy of. You know.
I have some someplace.
Oh.
I'll be glad to give you a couple.
Oh.
I mean, they're packed away about 1941 vintage or 42 vintage. So anyway, going back to that's the cruelty I had. I mean, not so much. I didn't have to sleep on the tree branch if you drop your rifle. Anyway.
Well, when you said you had slept in tents, and obviously when it got cold out, you didn't sleep in tents. At least I would.
No, we slept in tents.
Oh, the whole time.
Yeah, we took newspapers and put them underneath the mattresses. Newspapers are insulated.
Right.
You know.
So, but you slept in a tent that maybe had 8 guys in it?
No, two.
Only two.
Two per man.
So you in the pup tent with
it was a pup tent.
The 3 foot high.
Yeah, it had room for 2 cots.
Oh, so you had
plus
okay.
a locker box, I guess. And so that's it.
So it was actually a tent, like an A-frame tent.
Yes.
So
what would you classify that? A-frame.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's not the pup tents like you would.
Yes.
2 people.
Right.
This was designed where it would hold the cot
and the footlocker.
And the footlocker, yeah.
Okay.
And they were all over. They had them lined at Parris Island.
Did it sit on the ground or on a platform?
Oh, it was. I think didn't you have a platform in them? I don't think so.
They weren't around when I was there.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I was in a concrete building.
Oh, I see.
So no, they didn't have any because the coral break down like sand. And, just gotta watch out for splinters. That's all.
Well, the reason I ask these questions is because, you know, as the World War II reenactors obviously are going to be around for a little longer, we want to make sure that we're doing it right.
Right.
So and there are fellows that have Marine Corps regiments and groups that they put together, and of course, you know, this information is vital to make sure that they do it right. And just like when I ask you these questions, is the fact that I'm doing it not only for the benefit of myself, but for everybody else that is involved in this hobby. And you know, the hobby is really a love for you guys, because you are our heroes. There's no doubt in my mind. And although you may not think that, you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. So, with that being said, that's why I asked some of the questions that, well, you know, ask me about something really important, but to us, these things are the most important.
Still benefits the story.
Absolutely. How about, now you mentioned the burgers and the eggs.
Well, we're food for the night. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, just food in general. How
we called it slops. On the food in general, you couldn't complain. I mean, a lot of guys, we had cream milk pudding. The old time, the mess would give me a pot. They were all old aluminum pots with cream milk pudding in it. And boy, I'd clean it for her.
You said you went from 106 pounds, did you say?
167.
Oh, 167 to 200.
209 pounds.
209.
That was the maximum.
But you were still a big guy for your age.
Yeah.
At 18 years old, at 165, you were a big fella for that time.
Yeah.
So now when you went from that weight to over 200 pounds, you must have been one of the larger guys in your group.
Yes, that was for some time.
So nobody gave you any guff?
What?
Nobody gave you any static?
Oh, yeah. You mean the fights? Or
Yes,
what?
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've had that a couple of times.
But I bet you always won.
No. This time I did one. Surprisingly, I had a fight with one Sergeant McDonald. Was
Oh, the same guy gonna hit you
wise
upside
guy,
down.
wise guy. And I'm sitting, we had a slap shoot across the Marine Barracks in Charleston, where I was stationed for a while. That comes later, of course. But I'm sitting down with a couple of sluts, you know.
Couple ladies in the night.
Yeah. I was sitting with one girl, and my buddy, Cheslin was the name, Russian guy. He was, oh man. This McDonald came by with another Marine, and they walked a crooked mile. They were pretty drunk.
Mhm.
So McDonald says to me, "Get off the chair, Gago."
Oh, okay.
That was target. And with that, I got him tapped. And the Chester gets up, he said, "You guys get out that door or else I'll clobber you," you know. And so after they left, Chester said to me, "If you don't get that son of a bee, you're not my friend anymore." So I had the 8 to 12 watch that night, or 12 to 4, whatever it was. And I walked for 4 hours and said, "Shouldn't I, or shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Should I, should I?" So, came morning, I got off watch. I think it was a 4 to 8 watch, because the guys are walking out of the shower, this and that. And so I said, "Anybody seen McDonald?" Oh, they knew it was somehow. Everybody froze in their tracks. So he went out of the shower. Sure, and there he comes with a towel around him, a cigar box with his tail out.
Yes.
I said to him, "I want to see you outside." Just like that, exactly. He said, "Get out of here, you runt." I said, "Why, you set up a bee." And that was it. He hauled up and hit me behind the ear.
Oh, he hit you.
He first. That's all I needed.
Mhm.
And after that, I was drawing blood.
Oh, man.
And Matthews, God bless him, he was another good Marine, Sergeant Matthews. He says, "All right, break it up, Sark. He's had enough." They call me Sark. Sarkisian Sark. So he's had enough. So I didn't even shake hands. He wanted to shake hands, but what did it do? So that was the end of that.
When was the last time you saw him? Sergeant McDonald.
Oh, 42 before.
Oh, okay. So you had to live with him for another 2 years.
Oh, God, no. But, to make a story short, I'm going on.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's,
Next thing I know, Matthews, I'm laying on my sack, trying to get my wind back. And they said, "Get up there, grab a mop, and mop the floor." See, the fight was in the administration building, and they had the white marble hexagon things, and it was blood all over. So I had to mop it up. He says, "After you put that mop away, the first sergeant wants to see you." I says, "Oh, no, where they gonna get a deck guard marshal or what?" So I put the mop away, and the first sergeant wants to see you. So I went in there. He says, "What was this all about?" So I told him, well, he whacked me or slapped me across the face. He says, "Well, I want to tell you everything. I'm glad somebody beat this son of a bitch."
that's
That's
great.
the first son. God bless him. Denzel. I'll never forget him. Yeah. So I went into town. All the girls, "Hey, Shark, how you doing?" they heard about the fight.
How about that?
So you asked me of fights. I had some miserable fights.
Wow.
Let me cut it short there, please. I'm talking too much.
No, that's why we're here. Anyway, so you graduate, I guess, 9 weeks later? Is it boot camp about
Boot
9
camp.
weeks?
Yeah, I got out of boot camp, and after boot camp, they gave me, went to Cuba for 3 weeks, came back, and then they had the guys come, the first sergeant, whatever it was, he says, you guys are all going to be transferred. You got a choice, you got a choice, you got a choice of where you want to go. They showed us. One was Charleston, West Virginia, the other was Washington, D.C. Some of the guys went on battleships, cruises, or whatever. So,
well, this is obviously before World War.
Before the war, yeah.
Started, yeah.
So, gee, I drew a blank right
But
there.
and then what choice did they give you, or where did you end up?
Oh yeah, he says there's an opening here for Charleston, West Virginia. They need a bugler down there. I says, we fine. About along, and I got to West Virginia, and West Virginia was so kind. They were so. I was glad to be stationed there for a little over, almost 2 years.
Nice people, man.
Oh, they were very good coal miners. And you couldn't insult the coal miners, but they'd wallop you. And one of my friends was a pharmacist mate. You know, that's common, man. And what this lousy sergeant, he mimicked him, or he made few remarks. So his name was Charlie Mann. He took a bottle of the bar, smashed him on the head, and on me, he had broken glasses of beer.
So your buddy had to take care of him.
Oh, somebody, he knew how to handle himself. So we became close friends, Charlie Mann. I never know what happened to him.
So did you, after you went to Charleston, did anybody else go with you from your
No,
group?
just me.
Just you?
Yeah.
So what was that like going from boot camp, where you obviously probably made some friends, unless you beat them up?
All the guys, most of the guys I knew that time went to Guadalcanal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, troublemakers. First sergeant said to me, he's quite honest with me. Maybe because I was a bugler or something. He says, we get rid of those troublemakers. And one was McDonald.
Good for him.
So
he was on these guys, the fellows you went through boot camp with, were on Guadalcanal when the Japanese.
For both of them.
Yeah.
Some were, I wouldn't say old timers. You were 30, 35, you're an old man.
Yeah.
So anyway, they took a terrible beating from what I heard. And somebody I knew that worked for the administration down on the first floor, that was like communications belt. You know, they get news. They say, Joe Charlie got killed in what battle, this and that. So that was there. That was that. And as time went on, I wanted to sea duty, just like I said. So I met a good major
in Charleston.
Charleston. And who do you think it was? Oh gosh, I forgot names now. He was one of the deputies in Oklahoma who helped kill, was it Bob Barker, the woman and the man?
Mom and, I can't remember, Parker, were they bank robbers or something?
Yeah. But the reason I asked,
Parker.
Yeah. So he had a red shoe on the desk. So I did him favors making service knives out of old bayonets, you know. So at least we could talk man to man. So he said, "Oh, sir, that is taken from what that dame that was."
Ma Parker.
Pa Parker.
Ma Parker, the
young one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Or are you thinking Bonnie and, you're not thinking Bonnie and Clyde, are you?
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh,
That's
okay,
it,
Bonnie and Clyde. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was part of the group.
Posse.
Oh,
Not
okay.
a posse.
Yeah.
They were waiting. They were waiting for him. So he he was, it must have been a Marine officer, a reserve rather. So they called him in, and if I stayed in West Virginia, I could have gone with him. He became I think a full colonel later on. And the reason I knew is one of my buddies had stayed. He went along with the colonel, you know, and Otto Gusty, he was from Boston. He was from Boston, and he made gunnery sergeant. A little guy, he was just about 5'2", and the reason I found out later when I got my discharge, and I went down, took a trip down West Virginia, you know, just to see if anybody's around. So sure enough, there's Otto Gusty. He had a roadster, bought himself a convertible, and he took me around town. And one of my buddies there, Stinky Davis, we call him, he was driving a cab in town. So he says, "Hey, Ed, you got to see Bob Hershon, local. He was a buddy of mine, but he was always a troublemaker, and he was in the brig one time. He had the third watch. We had the ordnance, not the naval ordnance families living in these private houses, and there would be the bus stop where the booth was, and it was a nurse that was, he takes her in the booth, and then Lieutenant, what's his name? Dozier, yeah, catches him in the act. So anyway, he got a summary court-martial like that. And who do you think was chasing him? I was. And that guy, he was something. And I used to whack him on the rear. Said, "All right, come on, get that mountain. Let's clean up here."
So after Charleston, where did and what time of the year was this? Obviously,
This
1941 now.
This is the end of 1942, and I asked the major for transfer to seagoing, since I was the good side of the major.
But you were at Charleston when Pearl Harbor was bombed.
Yes, I was walking coast that one morning, and this being Sunday. It's a beautiful day in Charleston, sunny but cold. And I hear the kids saying, "War, Pearl Harbor." And I said, "What the hell's Pearl Harbor?" You know. So he threw the newspaper over the 8-foot fence, the barbed wire fence, and I gave him a dime or whatever it was, I forgot. And so I wrote a letter to my mother. I said, "Mom," I said, "this is it." She says, "Don't you dare say a word or volunteer for any. Just let things ride, see what happens." But as time went by...
No, she wrote you and told you don't volunteer.
What?
She wrote you and told you don't volunteer.
Yeah, don't make a move.
Okay.
My mother was a nice little person. God bless her. So anyway, I couldn't make much longer. So I asked the Major Ackerman, not Ackerman, Navy will come to me. We had two majors, Major Ackerman, and this Major Ackerman spent about 15 years in the Army, then he went in the Marines. He was an old geezer, nice guy. I used to, he had two sons, and the younger son was interested in model airplanes. He was interested in model airplanes, so I took him to town one day, and we went to a harbor shop, bought him an airplane, and I started putting together for him. And that's when the letter came in from Washington. You're going to seagoing in Portsmouth, Virginia. So I was happy about that. And
now, is there much need for a bugler on board a ship?
Oh, yeah, I
Yes,
was
you
in
were.
those days, yeah. But you had other duties, excuse me.
That's okay.
You had other duties too. You know, either captain's only, admiral's only, brig watches, just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I had two watches, one after the other, you know.
So you were transferred then from Charleston
Charleston to Portsmouth,
to
to sea school.
Okay.
Sea school is supposed to be a 3-month schooling. You got to go through last summer before again Morse and had a 5.8 anti-aircraft gun,
Mhm.
40 millimeters, 20 millimeters. But since I have lived, you know, quite a few years under my belt, this Major Hibson calls me up. The orderly comes up, so the Major wants to see you. So I say, yes, sir. He says, how soon can you pack your sea bag? Oh, yeah, what I didn't want to say, what I wanted to say was, my teeth were pretty bad, and they sent me to, I wanted to go back to line duty, incidentally. And I went back to line duty. I said, my teeth are not too good. I can't play. I want your teeth fixed. And I want you to continue. So I forgot who the commanding officer was, officer if Portsmouth was. So I went, and there's 2 big picture windows where I was seated in the dentist's office. Within 2 to 3 days, they had permanent 3 teeth or 2 teeth.
I see.
Up here. But since then, I had those removed, and the doctor actually took a hammer and chiseled the roots out.
Oh my.
God, that's my feet. So I'm looking out the window, and I see something beautiful. I see 2 aircraft carriers side by side, getting ready for combat. And one was the Essex, the other was the Yorktown. So
this was the first Yorktown.
this is the second
Second
CP5.
The first one was 5, the second one was 10.
10, right.
So this was the replacement for the one that was sunk?
Yeah, they took the tail of the one armor shot and called that the Yorktown CV-10.
Okay.
So I didn't know the names of the ships at the time. So a day or 2 passed, and Major's order came up to Sarkisian. The Major wants to see you. So, yes, sir. What is it? He says, how soon can you pack your sea bag? I said, 15 minutes. 10 minutes to be a cheap week to you. You're going out of Yorktown. Oh, God. I made the course.
So you really got your wish, because then you got into aviation then, or at least a part of the aviation group, or per se, you're on an airport
Yeah,
in the middle of the sea.
And how. So I went out of Yorktown and went on the, what I call, went on the shakedown. We went to Trinidad.
Okay.
And the guys were all drunk on tequila and everything else. I actually helped Overstreet of Nature, captain, he was the captain then. His officer's cap, the visor was to the side of his head. He was a comic. He could barely make the gangway up. I went down.
He was plastered, huh?
Get your goddamn hands off me. You know, he was Indian.
Oh, Indian fellow.
Well, his family, I don't know what tribe they were in, but he was very sharp, very sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And
so was he captain of the Yorktown?
he was the captain of the Marine Detachment.
Oh, the Marine
Detachment.
Detachment.
No. The captain of the ship was Jocko Clark. He had a very big name, and he was a great guy. Oh man! And later on, he became admiral. He went on the Ticonderoga, and they got hit bad, and he lost part of his group. Of course, the bomb landed right where the Chief of Staff's office was aboard the ship. So with the story, I don't know. It's
So you made it to the Yorktown. You're on the floating airport,
right.
and
You wish to put it that way.
and so you're off to Trinidad. Yes.
Back.
And you came back, right back to Portsmouth again.
Portsmouth again. They took on some more aircraft and some more, after when you're going to shakedown, you find out what's wrong with the ship and so on. And they checked it out. We were okay.
So were they practicing flying off and recovery?
No, not at port. No, not
But
at port.
on your way down to Trinidad, did they do that?
No.
No. Okay, so
They
this was
stayed
just.
put.
So there were no airplanes on board at all when you.
Oh, there was. There was. Yeah, partially.
None of them took off or none of them landed.
Yeah.
They just stayed on there and they worked on the elevators probably and the arresting gear and everything to get them ready to launch, but never launched them.
Right.
Okay.
They seem to know something about it.
Well, I just figure, it'd be a dangerous thing to have nothing work. And once you
Right.
send somebody out there, they got to have a place to land, and if it's not working, you're in big trouble.
And how?
So,
But,
so you come back to Portsmouth, and
come back. No. I didn't see
did not?
Portsmouth at the end.
So
and,
where did you guys pull in after
Well,
your
what we
shutdown?
did was, in the beginning, we made hit and runs.
Well, I mean, but after you got done with Trinidad and you came back
Oh,
to
yeah.
the port,
They checked the ship over.
Right.
And we went through the Panama Canal, and two submarines were waiting for us. German submarines.
how nice.
Yeah, they were looking for easy shed, just like they bombed the ships in New York City.
Right.
They did. So they were trying to wiggle in the Panama Canal, and that's the only route there for these carriers.
Right.
And in order to make the Panama Canal, they had this much room. So we had 40 millimeter gun mounts, which they could not put on till we got to the West Coast. See? So I think they put on 6 of them for 40 millimeter mounts. And if it wasn't for them, we would.
So is that how you either scared off or sunk the German submarines?
Oh yeah, well they know the destroyers were dropped the depth charges all over.
Okay. Okay.
And,
So whatever happened to those submarines? Did they get sunk or did they?
that we never got word.
Never got word that they-
Sometimes they keep quiet about it,
Yeah. It's, who needs to know, and you don't need to know.
No, but it must have been spies that got word.
That you were leaving.
Panamanians got word to the submarines. There's 2 ships coming through or a ship coming through. So they'd be waiting out there for us. But they may have gotten one of the submarines as far as I know.
I see.
But we didn't get any damages.
Okay. So after you make it through the Panama Canal, did you make a right turn and go to San Diego, or did you go straight out to Pearl Harbor?
No, straight to Pearl Harbor. We took on a few planes. They might have been in Balboa. They had airfields there in Panama.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to the Panama?
No.
No. But there's a freshwater lake there, as you go through the canal. Freshwater lake, and they took on thousands of gallons of fresh water to wash the ship down. After drinking, they of course made their own just water aboard ship. They took on salt water, but no matter how you try,
You can still taste it.
you still taste the salt, slight amount of salt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I drank a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.